Hey y'all, welcome to the Filling Station. It's a new day, another opportunity to either make money in this market or to just learn from the market. But first, y'all, let me give my disclaimer. I am not a financial advisor. I just enjoy teaching people how to build generational wealth. And yes, the stock market is just one of those avenues. So this video is for educational purposes only. If you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all, because we learn and we grow together. With that being said, let's get started. So we are looking at the VIX, and it seems as if we're just going sideways here. Support is around this level. We have marked 41.25. Resistance, let's say it's around 45.52. That is the zone that the VIX is trading in. So if we should break this 52 area, we could very well come back to 48.29. Breaking that brings us back to the 51.75. Should we break the 51.75, 54.64 is within reach. Now back to the downside. Under this level of 41.25, we can come back and retest 38.57. And should we break this, that is where the 200 EMA is, right? Under that 38.57 area, we can come back to the 36.29. Again, I look at the VIX because it kind of gives me an idea of what's going on with the SPY. Normally, when the VIX is up, the SPY is down. And when the VIX is down, the SPY is up. So that's something to be mindful of, right? So let's look at the SPY today. And it looks as if we are trading sideways. You know, we've been trading in this sideways, down, up, down type thing for a while, right? So I always say, where are the trouble places? Again, this is the 30-minute chart for the SPY. And it looks as if, you know, we came down, found support off this 200 EMA around the 521.82 area, bounce from there only to come up here to this level to get rejected, let's say around the 530.75. So where are the trouble places as of now for the SPY? Let's see that, right? So back to the upside, I would say it needs to get 5 EMA is a resistance area for us as of now. So we definitely need to try to get back above the 528.05 area. If we should break that, there's a few layers of resistance. I would say above the 529 area. If by chance we break this zone over these candles here around the 529, 529.05, 529.10 area. If we should break that 530.02, if we should break that area, 530.75, and I'm just picking out areas, you know, 531.82, breaking the 531.82, 531.26, 531.30, 533.10, and if we should break that 533.69. So there's a few layers of rejection here for the SPY. It's interesting, you know, that we've been trading in that gathering spot or consolidation area. We moved up only to come back down to these levels. We closed at 524.58. Now where are the trouble places back to the downside? So under 525.84, we could very well come back to 523.83, breaking that, I would say around the 522.60, which is not far from the 200 EMA, around the 521.76. Should we break this 521.76, there's a lot of layers of, you know, support here. However, the strongest level, in my opinion, will be the ATR trail and stop at the 518.29. So breaking this 521.81 area, we can come back to the 518.29. But as you can see, there's a few layers here, you know, 521.02, 520.58, 519.79, 519.21, and then here at the 518.36. The market is going to be interesting today. It is Friday, as of, you know, and it's going to be an interesting day. Let me say that. The market seems like it's just setting up for a sideways. It is setting up sideways, and it could be a strong move back to the upside or back to the downside. Y'all know I say so often, just trade carefully, market levels, and once it goes against your Y, get out. Make sure you have your stop losses set tight today. Now, we are now looking at Tesla. We closed at 252.40, y'all. Tesla, it too is looking like the SPY, kind of like trading in a zone, right? And I do realize that these charts are kind of congested. Why? Because I've been charting these for a few years now. I'm going to go back so that we can see that the right way, right? Okay, so where are the trouble places for Tesla as of right now? It looks as if, you know, 252.28 is a rejection area for us as of now. Now back to the upside, we could possibly have trouble again. 253.84. If we should break that 255.28, breaking that, we could have trouble. 256. 256.33, and if we should break that around 257.19, breaking that 258.09, which is not far from that ATR trailing stop as of now at the 258.35 area. Now those are your rejection areas or resistance areas for Tesla as of right now. Now back to the downside, let's say by chance we break under this 251 area, we could very well come back and find support again, 249.52. Breaking that level, we can come back to 248.35. That is where the 200 EMA is as of now. Now back, continuing to the downside, under 248.27, 247.26. 247.26, and if we should break that, we could possibly find support 246.55, 245.96, and again here at 244. This 244 area will be interesting in my opinion. If we should break that, we can come back to 242, 241.82. And yesterday we came down and found support here at this 240.72 area. So I would definitely watch Tesla. If we break under this 240.72 area, we can come back to this 239.33, which is another area that stopped us on yesterday. In my opinion, I always say, you know, I look what stopped us on yesterday. Are we going to make a new low? Should we make a new low? That would be my concern, because if we break under this 239, we could very well come back to 236. Around the 236 area and breaking that, let's see, 234.57. So if you are trading Tesla today, those are areas kind of to the upside and to the downside. Now what will be interesting is if we break above this 258.25 for Tesla, because we could very well, you know, come back to this 260.13 area, and Tesla normally exceeds its ATR for the day, which is the average true range. So if you're trading Tesla today, y'all, I say so often, trade carefully. In this market, anything is possible, right? So we are now looking at NVDA. We close at 107.57, and as you can see, it too is kind of trading a little bit sideways. Not as, you know, it's trading a little bit sideways. All right, so where the trouble places as of now, looks like we're having trouble here at this 109.01. If we should break that, we have trouble again, or resistance around the 109.87, which is our ATR trailing stop, and y'all see it's a few layers of resistance right here. So if we should break that 109.96 area, we could possibly have trouble again at 110.95, breaking that 111.36, 111.72, 112.65, 113.34. Those are areas to the upside for resistance for NVIDIA. Now to the downside, right now that 5 EMA, there's a previous line that we have here marked at the 108.52. So if we break that, we have the 50 EMA and the 20 EMA right here as a support. So under this level of, I say under 107.65 for NVIDIA, we can come back and find support 107.16, 107.14. Now if we break that 106.44, if we should break that level 105.08, and if we break that, the 200 EMA as of now is at 104.68. That could be a support place for us. As you can see, we've been kind of like in this area before. Breaking that brings us back to the 103.86. If we should break that, we can come back and retest the 102.46 area. So those are support and resistance areas for NVIDIA. Again, y'all, anything is possible. So I say, you know, trade carefully today. And once it goes against your why, y'all get out. I say live to trade another day. Let's look at Meta just to see where we are. We closed at 546.29, and it too is kind of trading in this little zone area. Resistance as of now 552.56. We can say support is down here at 539.16. We've hit this 1, 2, almost 3 times, so we definitely need to watch this 539.16 if you're trading Meta today. Again, not financial advice. Back to the upside, 552.56. If we break above that, 554.50. Yes, if we should break that, we have resistance around 557.07, and you see how close it is to that ATR trailing stop, 558.09. I really like marking these levels, y'all. 558.09, and if we break that level, 559, let's say the 559 area, we could very well come back into the 562.06 and breaking that 564.25. So those could be rejection areas for Meta today. Now to the downside, if by chance we break under 539.16, we could very well come back to the 532, let's say around the 534.53, because that's where the body of these two candles are, around the 534 534.03, 534.06 area. Breaking that brings us back to 532. Should we break the 532, I see 519.45 within reach. And keep in mind, there's a big, there's a gap. Oh dear, there's a gap in that area. So we could very well come back to, there's something that could stop us in that area. Let's say that. Now, under the 532 down to the 519, something can stop us out. So I would say trade carefully. But that 519.45 was an area that we have marked. Again, 512.95. If we break the 512.95, we have right here at 509.96. Breaking that brings us back to the 504.17. So if you're trading Meta today, these are areas to the upside and to the downside. Again, y'all, not financial advice. And let's look at AMD. So it looks like we closed at $88.70. It too is trading kind of like sideways, in my opinion, right? So support is around the 89.06 area. Resistance as of now around the $90.16 area. Should we break that, we could possibly have trouble again. $90.53, and breaking that 91.06 is our ATR trail and stop as of now. Should we break that 91.06 area, we could very well come back to, let's say, around the 92.32, and breaking that 93.03. Should we break that level, we could find rejection or issues around the 93.84. If we break that level, we could very well come back to around the 95. Let's see where that 95.08. And what's interesting is I like to go back and look, this body and this body is kind of like in this area, so I know price had issues there. So I say around the 95.08, and if we break that 95.60. So if you're trading AMD today, those are areas to the upside. Now to the downside, if by chance we break under 87.70, we could very well come back, let's say, to this area here around 86 and find support. If we should break that level, we can come back to around the 86.34, and breaking that brings us back to the 85.21. Breaking the 85.21, 83.18, and if we break the 83.18 area, 81.50 and $80.16. Those are support places for AMD. So if that is something that you trade today, I say trade carefully, y'all. In this market, anything is possible. We are now looking at Apple. We close at 190.42, and Apple is trading kind of sideways, y'all. So support is around this 200 EMA. It's kind of holding us up. We bounced from there, so definitely need to watch around, let's say, the 189.38. Back to the upside, if we break above 190.61, we could possibly have trouble again around 192.09. Should we break that area, we could possibly, you see the body, the wicks of this candles here touch this area for a reason, around the 193.04. If we break that I'm going to make that line because I wanted to show something really quick. So if I go to these candles here, no, there we are. Let's say if we make this line here, which is the high of where those candles are, and y'all know when some reason my computer just started doing something weird. So if I was to make a line in this area, it puts us where the body of this candle is, where this wick is, where this point is, this point. All those areas are kind of, in the same place. So I need to watch that area because price was there before. It could very well go back to that area again. So that's why I say the 193.04. I wanted to point that out. It was this point, kind of close to that one, then this, where the body of the candles are here. So I definitely need to watch that. I need to get that off. And so if you're trading at Apple today, those are areas to the upside. We do have another line that we can mark here around the 194.47. So if we break the 194.47 area, we can come back to the 197.01 area for Apple. So if that's something that you trade, those are areas kind of to the upside. And I wanted to point out how price was gathered in this area here, which is kind of like where the top of these candles are. So I need to remember this area. Now back to the downside for Apple. If we break under 187.38, we could very well come back to the 185.75. Breaking that brings us back to around the 184.22, and if we should break that, we could very well come back to the 182.66, and breaking that brings us back to 181.47. Those are supporting resistance areas for Apple. Again, not financial advice, y'all. This has been an interesting week in the market, let's say that. So we're now looking at Google, GOOG. We closed at 155.37. It too is trading kind of like in a zone. So as of right now, we have support at around 154.98. Resistance was around the 158.26, and this is one of those levels, like places I kind of like need to go in and make some more areas of support and resistance, and I call that on more of a micro scale, right? Because this is the zone that we are kind of trading in this area here as of right now for Google. So if GOOG, if you're trading that today, support is around the 155.96, resistance around the 157 area. So we could very well trade, continue trading in that zone. Let me say that. Yes. Okay. So back to the upside, above the 157.01, we could possibly have trouble again around the 157.95. As you can see, that's where kind of like the bodies of these candles are here. So if we break that level again, the 158.26 is our ATR trailing stop. Breaking that level takes us back to the 159.24. Breaking that brings us back around 159.76. If we should break back to the downside, let's say we break under the 154.98, we can find support 154.54. And if we should break that, I'm going to show you where the body of these candles are. I have a few on this line here. So I need to remember this area, this area, this area, and this area has been around that 153.93 area. So should we break that, we could very well come back to 153.19. So if breaking the 153.19, which is under the 200 EMA, we could very well come back and retest this area. Let's say around the 152.84 and then the 152.20. So if you're trading Google GOOG, it is an inside, no, it is not an inside day candle. Those are areas for support and resistance, y'all. It has, yes. So this is some of the things that I see when I look at the market, y'all. And there's so many different ways to trade the market. I say that often, right? What's challenging sometimes is trying to figure out what way works best for you and having the discipline to execute that. So I hope that you find that, and I always say that we learn and we grow together. So if you could please like, share, comment, subscribe, y'all. I hope that everyone have a very productive day today. Again, I am super excited. This is going to be a great trading day today. And again, we learn and we grow together, y'all. So trade carefully, set your stop losses, or whatever plan that you have, make sure you have the discipline to execute that and trade what you see, y'all. So until next time, be blessed as well as a blessing unto others.